Hello everyone, welcome to BhadraIASAcademy. So we are going to discuss individual topics जो एग्ज़ाम पर्सपेक्टिव में थोड़ा इम्पोर्टेंट है. So आज का हमारा टॉपिक का डिस्कशन है क्वाड फॉरेन मिनिस्टर्स मीटिंग. अभी देखिए वेरी रिसेंटली एक क्वाड फॉरेन मिनिस्टर्स का मीटिंग हुआ है, बड़ा न्यूज़ बन गया था. तो हमारा एग्ज़ाम प्रिपरेशन में ये टॉपिक हम कैसे एनालाइज कर सकते हैं, राइट. सो इफ़ यू लुक एट दिस वन, द क्वाड मिनिस्टर्स का जो मीटिंग हुआ था, इट वंस अगेन बिकेम अ वेरी बिग न्यूज़. व्हाई? मेजर कंट्रीज लाइक इंडिया, यूनाइटेड स्टेट्स, जापान, ऑस्ट्रेलिया, these countries came together for the quad meeting. They become what we can also say the quad member group, right. So now ये जो टॉपिक है ये हम पढ़ने के एग्जाम पर्सपेक्टिव में इसको हम कैसा देखेंगे. सो इफ यू सी हियर फ्रॉम आवर एग्जाम एनालिसिस वी कैन से दिस टॉपिक विल बी रेलेवेंट फॉर जीएस पेपर 2, that is the international relations perspective. It will also be relevant for GS paper 3 when we talk about internal security, plus current affairs, events and international organizations. From that point of view also this topic will be relevant. So from the exam perspective, this topic we can think that it will be expected for our exam preparation. So now let us look at what is the quad. The quad actually means the quadrilateral security dialogue, that is the quad. In short हम इसको बोलते हैं quad, right. It is basically an informal strategic grouping because it is not a formal group like the NATO या the United Nations, they are formal, whereas this is informal. It has 4 members: India, USA, Japan and Australia. So now basically what is the quad working for? So if you look at here, the quad is working together for a free, open, inclusive, stable and prosperous, important point is Indo-Pacific. So the main focus of the quad is the having a free and a peaceful Indo-Pacific region. That is the main focus about this quad. So now we will look into some details for our understanding. So now the historical evolution of quad, how and when the quad actually began, so to say, where the members came together. So it all goes back to 2004, jab we had that big tsunami, right. So the quad actually goes back to 2004 Indian Ocean tsunami, जब कंट्री एक साथ आए फिर बोले चलो हम एक दूसरे को हेल्प करेंगे ये सुनामी रिलीफ में, लाइक ह्यूमैनिटेरियन हेड एंड एक्सेट्रा. सो नाउ द क्वाड एक्चुअली केम टुगेदर दैट टाइम टू वर्क टुगेदर फॉर ह्यूमैनिटेरियन असिस्टेंस एंड डिजास्टर रिलीफ. सो नाउ from that time the idea of working together, coming together started for the quad members. Now the formal meeting we can say kind of a beginning, though the quad itself is informal, but they said that let's have a meeting. So this was initiated by the Japanese Prime Minister, right. So the Japanese Prime Minister initiated, that is Abe. Then we said that let's have a meeting. So the first we can say kind of a informal quad meeting was held. This was held alongside what we can say the meetings conducted by the ASEAN. Okay. So the concept at that time was freedom and prosperity in the Indo-Pacific region. Okay. However, you see जो ये मीटिंग स्टार्ट हुआ था लेकिन वो ज़्यादा कंटिन्यू नहीं हुआ. क्यों? Because there was a Chinese opposition. China was not so much in favor of this kind of meetings, like 3-4 countries coming together, and Australia was little bit hesitant because it is not a formal, they were not to be very much associated, and different countries had their own priority. So somehow this could not work out. The meetings were not taking place on a regular basis. Okay. So then what happened? In 2007, the quad had its inaugural but informal meeting on the ASEAN Regional Forum. Alongside that, in Manila, Philippines, again for prelims point of view, this you can keep it in mind. However, for the lack of clarity of the group ka strategy, interest, foreign policy, etc., there the group remained suspension for a long time. Matlab not much activity took place of the quad members. Okay. Then comes the revival part. So if you see, the revival of the quad takes place in 2017, after a long time, almost after 10 years, the revival takes place, basically because of China's aggressive maritime posture and also the basic problems that we faced in the South China Sea, then China ka Belt and Road Initiative, then Indo-Pacific strategic shift. So the quad members को अभी लगा चलो हम लोग को एक साथ आना पड़ेगा, डिस्कस करना पड़ेगा, चाइना को थोड़ा बैलेंस में रखना पड़ेगा. That is how the quad once again revived, as I said, somewhere around 2017. Okay, so these are very basic things that you need to keep in mind for exam preparation. Now if you look at the objectives of quad, what are the quad ka basic focus? We can say the number one, the most important focus is their maritime security. They are constantly working on the maritime security, that is part of the internal security preparation. Then counterbalancing Chinese influence. So the officially quad is not against China, means officially we are not against China, but the discussion somewhere focus on China ka control of that South China Sea, right, Taiwan tension, etc. So the China issue is always there. Then they are also talking about critical and emerging technology, how they can have a collaboration, especially AI, quantum computing, etc. Then if you talk about supply chain resilience, they are talking about how they can have more enriching supply chain. Today this has become a very big global point of talking, and also during the COVID time they realized that supply chains are in a way affected, so they were also working on that part. Climate action is another area they were wanted to talk about, clean energy, green shipping, etc. Then health security, even during the time of COVID this issue became a prominent issue, so the quad members also discussed the health security, health issues. So now these are like what we can say some of the major areas where the quad member countries have been working. Now look at the areas of cooperation where they are cooperating in general. The first one, the main one, is the maritime security, or what we say in internal security, coastal security. Here they are talking about tracking the illegal fishing, piracy, so the Indo-Pacific Partnership for Maritime Domain Awareness is a program, an initiative launched by the quad member. So what is this program? Let's look at the Indo-Pacific Partnership for Maritime Domain Awareness. This topic can also be asked for your prelims. Now this is launched in 2022 by the quad, and it provides what we can say real-time data, cost effective, low cost, cutting edge radio frequency, monitoring the international water, and also enforce laws within their control territorial area. Now that is the main focus of this, right? So now this in a way helps them to also control illegal fishing, unreported, unregulated fishing, etc. So this is one area where the quad members have been collaborating. If you see in 2024, American President Joe Biden, when he was there, they offered that the coast guards of the quad members will spend some time with the US Coast Guard vessel, and slowly they will take in turn to each country will host such a thing. Okay, so the first, what we can say, the Indo-Pacific launch was done in 2025. So there is a lot of collaboration with regard to maritime security. So internal security point of view, this also we have to consider. Second area is the cyber security, where they are very much also talking about it, like cyber resilience, secular digital infrastructure, cyber norms. Okay, today this has become a very big issue. Then also disaster relief, right from the tsunami, COVID, etc. This is another area where they are cooperating. Now if you talk about the Quad, why and how it is important for India. Now exam point of view that you might also get answering for the mains paper. First one is the strategic balance, because India needs to strike a balance, the China's overarching power, okay. Then technology access, it helps India in semiconductor ecosystem, AI collaboration, right. Indo-Pacific leadership, India needs to use its soft power and have this kind of a collaboration so that leadership can emerge from the Indo-Pacific region. Then defense cooperation, though it is not a military alliance like a NATO, Quad is not like a NATO, but still this maritime security, naval cooperation, that also helps in our defense, especially the Malabar naval exercise. ओके सो एग्जाम में क्वाड के बारे में हम क्या लिख सकते हैं, व्हाट आर द पॉइंट्स दैट वी कैन कंसीडर, ऑल दिस पॉइंट्स यू कैन थिंक अबाउट फॉर योर मेंस आंसर राइटिंग. एंड देयर आर सम कंसर्न्स इन दिस क्वाड. व्हाई? बिकॉज क्वाड एज यू सी इट इज नॉट अ फॉर्मल ऑर्गेनाइजेशन, इट इज नॉट अ फॉर्मल ग्रुप. सो फर्स्ट थिंग इज दैट चाइनीज रिएक्शन इज देयर. चाइना इज नॉट वेरी हैप्पी विद दिस क्वाड थिंग. So we have the Chinese reaction, that we need to keep in mind. Second is ASEAN also, because ASEAN is more what we can say, it believes in inclusiveness of their 10 now 11 member country group. The third is the main problem. Quad is basically informal coming together, strategic grouping. It is not a formal alliance like a NATO, or any other grouping, like even SAARC was a formal, but this is not a formal. Even BIMSTEC is formal, but Quad is not formal. So this is where one main concern, because there is no treaty obligation, so implementation uncertainty remains in that, okay. Then priority of each country is different, foreign policy is different, so that is also creating difficulty for the effective functioning of Quad. So how effective is Quad? That is a question mark. Now if you look at the Quad and NATO, there is a fundamental difference. For example, what is the nature of Quad and nature of NATO? Quad is, as I told you, informal, like a NATO will be formal military alliance. Treaty obligation, Quad there is no obligation. Collective defense, we don't have a collective defense. Indo-Pacific focus, yes, we have a Indo-Pacific focus. China balancing is indirect. Like this is the some features of Quad. Whereas in NATO, you see it is a formal, and the treaty obligation they have, collective defense also they have, right? But they are not focused on Indo-Pacific or China. This is irrelevant for NATO also, right? So there is some difference in the grouping. So it is not a formal group, that one point also we need to keep in mind. Now the recent meeting held in Delhi also, what are the major things they highlighted? For exam point of view, current affair, if you see, I have kept the original statement as it is for exam. So the first thing is what they are talking about. They talk about a free and open Indo-Pacific. That was the point number 3 in the statement given. That is the free and open Indo-Pacific, where they can have a resilience, so they need not be afraid of other countries, so that they can also enhance cooperation, to benefit. The next point what they talked about is very also important. They are concerned about what we can say critical sea lanes, basically because of China, and they want uninterrupted flow of business and commerce, basically for global trade, okay. These points were highlighted in the final statement of the Quad meeting. So what are the serious concerns raised in this Quad meeting in Delhi? Number 1, they talked about peace and stability in the region, okay. They basically want peace and stability in the region, and interference with resource development by China or somebody, they say we are concerned about it, it should not be done. And they are also concerned about obstruction of navigation and overflight by China. They don't want any dangerous maneuvers by other countries, so that every country should have a freedom. So therefore you see, we remain seriously concerned about the situation in the South China Sea. They have very clearly made the statement. So the unsafe use of water cannons, okay, remaining or blocking action, then militarization of disputed features. Now these kind of things, tension which is coming from China, they expressed serious concern in the latest meeting held in Delhi. This is the official statement given by the Quad group soon after the meeting. Okay. So now therefore you see, exam mein what we can write, all this can be part of our discussion. So now mains perspective, you might get arguments like this. Quad represents strategic minilateralism in the Indo-Pacific rather than a formal alliance structure. So you can talk about minilateralism, Indo-Pacific security, rule-based order, all that. Possible question in mains like GS2, discuss the significance of Quad in shaping strategic architecture of the Indo-Pacific. GS3 paper, how does the Quad contribute to India's maritime and technological security? This kind of question आपको mains में आ सकता है, right? And for prelims also you can get some question. I am just giving you a sample question. With reference to the Quad grouping, consider the following statements. So Quad was originally conceptualized as a formal military alliance. Definitely not. All Quad members are also members of NATO, right? Quad focus on maritime security, critical technology, etc. So which of the statements are correct? So if you see, answer is B, that is only 3 is correct, because these 2 are not correct. Okay. So this kind of prelims point of view also you might get questions possibly. Okay. So that is our topic for Quad. And for your information, we are launching our new batch, upcoming batch, the July batch. So those of you are interested or thinking of preparing for civil service, you can contact us. Okay. So you can call us at 8638391721. So for any further information, you can contact us at this number. So till then, you keep studying and preparing for your exam. We will come out with new topics for your analysis. Thank you.